Leaders have a bias toward action. Certainly, we have a responsibility to think and plan and prepare and all of that. But the biggest impact we can make comes when we move, when we act. And that's why leaders must shift away from apathy and toward action. Welcome to the Ware Show, a podcast for leaders who want more and won't settle for less. Straight talk to help you lead better, live bolder, and not lose yourself in the process. If you're serious about going to the next level in life and leadership, you're in the right place. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ware Show, where we talk about going to the next level personally and professionally and all the things that it takes to grow in our leadership. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who have been watching and listening and commenting and sharing. It really does mean the world to me, and I hope this podcast is helping you become a better leader. I'm going to set up today's topic by asking you a simple question that might almost sound like something you would ask a kid, or I don't know, could even sound like the start of a dad joke. But the question is this: if there are 5 frogs sitting on a log and 4 decide to jump off, how many frogs are sitting on the log? And I know a bunch of you are going to say 1 because you think this is a math problem. But the answer is actually 5, because this is not a math problem. This is a movement problem. Deciding to jump off the log doesn't mean you actually jump off the log. There's a big difference between deciding and doing. There's a big difference between decision and action. And today I want to talk about taking action in our leadership. The best leaders I know have a bias toward action. They would rather do it than talk about it. They would rather act on it than have another meeting about it. And that's because great leaders know that only action gets results. And now, to be clear, as leaders, we do have a responsibility to think and prepare and strategize and all that. And so I don't want to diminish the importance of those things. Those things matter. Like we talked about on the last episode, this is a tension that we hold as leaders, right? It's not think or act, it's think and act. It's not either or, it's both and. But right now, what I'm focusing on is the importance of taking action. And I don't know, maybe I'll do another podcast at some point about the importance of thinking deeply and intentionally about your organization and your leadership, because I believe in that as well. But the reason that I'm emphasizing taking action today is because, in my experience, most leaders wait too long. They want more data, they want more details, more information, more preparation. And while they get all of that, their opportunities slip away and their competition slips ahead. Most leaders in most situations need to take more action more quickly than they do. And I say all that as someone who has had to learn how to do this, because this has not always come easily or naturally for me. True confessions of a leader here: I have not always taken action as quickly as I should have. So what I'm talking about today is something I've had to work on, something I've had to grow in, and still am, honestly. You know, we talk all the time about how leadership is a journey, and this particular area has been a journey for me. Maybe you can identify with this. You know, I'm very competitive, and so I like to achieve, I like to accomplish, and so my natural tendency is to take enough time to plan and prepare so that when I do act, I'm going to win. I'm going to be very thorough. I'm going to be very deliberate, which on the one hand makes me very well prepared when I do move forward. When I do act, it's likely to work. The problem is that sometimes it takes me way too long to get there. And I know there's people who fall, on the other side of the spectrum, right? I mean, I sometimes have regrets about waiting too long to act, and I know other leaders who have regrets about not waiting long enough, right? Like they pulled the trigger a little bit too fast, could have used a little bit more thinking and a little bit more planning. So I know people fall, kind of in different places with this. But what I had to learn for myself, and if you're a leader like me, you can relate to this will resonate with you, is this. Sometimes what we call preparing is actually procrastinating. And what we say is gathering more data and facts, in reality, is just delaying out of fear. See, sometimes leaders mask their unwillingness to pull the trigger with this guise of due diligence, right? Research, strategic planning. In the faith-based world, leaders can delay by saying they need to pray about it more. And listen, I'm for all of those things. I think all those things are important. We need to be wise in our decision-making. All of that matters. But I also think it's possible to over-research, to over-inform, to overcook some things. And sometimes you just got to make a decision. Sometimes you just have to pull the trigger and take action. We talked about this actually in an old episode of the podcast back when it was called The Shift, the idea that action beats analysis. Action beats analysis. And the reason why is because only action produces results. Analysis never gets you a result, only action does. And I think a lot of times leaders actually know what to do, and we actually know it a lot earlier than we do it. The truth is that one more day, one more meeting, one more conversation or book or podcast or workshop or conference is not going to make a difference. You don't need more information. You need more action. Okay, like the old country song says, you need a little less talk and a lot more action. If you wait until you're 100% sure to take action, you are too late. Sometimes we feel like we need to know more to act, and in reality, we need to act on what we already know. Because if you wait for every question to be answered, every contingency to be covered, every policy to be written, and every plan to be laid out, you will get left behind. You are missing opportunities if you're not taking action. I heard somebody talk once about the optimist versus the pessimist. And you know the analogy, right? The optimist says that the glass is half full, and the pessimist says that the glass is half empty. And while the optimist and pessimist argue over how to see the glass, the activist comes along and drinks the water. And I just want to challenge you as a leader. It's time to stop arguing over how we see the glass, and it's time to start drinking the water. It's time to take action. Your primary responsibility in leadership is to take action in a way that moves your organization forward. And there's never a perfect time to act. So don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for a sign from heaven. Don't wait till everything feels just right, because I promise you the right time is never going to come. The right time is right now. The right time is when you decide and you take action. Years ago, I heard John Maxwell, the GOAT of leadership, talk about this idea. And he was talking about taking action and developing a sense of urgency and all of that. And he uses this phrase, this is kind of the catchphrase, it's do it now. Do it now. And he relays the story that when he was a young leader, one of his mentors challenged him to take 30 days and every day, every morning before he got out of bed, say to himself 50 times out loud, do it now, do it now. Do it now, do it now, do it now. And then do the same thing 50 times again before he went to bed every night. You know, get in bed, pull the covers over you, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. And he said that simple exercise revolutionized his sense of urgency and taking action. And I haven't done that exactly. Maybe I should. That actually might be fun to do. You know, say it out loud every morning, every night. But what I have done is take a really hard look at areas of my life and leadership where I know I am prone to plan and think and talk about it, and honestly, maybe even just pray about it, but not actually do something. Where I need to take action and I need to just do it now. And as I've grown in that, I've learned some things that have helped me that I want to share with you today, because I think it'll help you too, especially if you're a leader like me. Number one is this, that action creates traction. Action creates traction. Listen, there is no traction without action. And that's not just an inference on the spelling. That's how life works. You won't get any traction unless you take action. Okay, traction and movement and momentum are hard to get. We know that. And a lot of people think those things are a product of luck, but I believe momentum is actually something that you can build. It's something you can create. You can create traction in your life and your leadership if you're willing to take action. I remember having a lunch meeting with a friend of mine a while back who was, sort of bemoaning the fact that he was out of shape. And at the time, I was in really good shape. I was running a lot of miles every week, and he was sort of discouraged. He's like, man, there's no way I could run that many miles. And I had to explain to him I wasn't running that many miles either a few years ago. Right? But because I took action, it created traction. It started getting me moving. I began to build momentum. Okay, if you want momentum, just start moving. Leaders, listen to me. Nothing moves until you move. When you move, it moves. When you take action, you can create traction and movement in your organization. And maybe that's a big thing. Maybe it's, launching a new product or rolling out a new service or securing real estate, a big hire on your team, maybe a big fire from your team. Or maybe it's a small thing. Maybe it's having that hard conversation, getting your books in order, documenting your standard operating procedure, whatever it is. You will not get traction on it until you stop making excuses, no matter how true they are, no matter how well-intentioned they are, and start taking action. As the saying goes, you can make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both. Okay? Action creates traction in your leadership. Number 2, action creates attraction. Action creates attraction. Another John Maxwell, maxim, a word of wisdom. He says that when you act, you attract. When you act, you attract. When you take action, you begin to attract everything you need to move forward and to make progress in your life and in your leadership. And a lot of times I think we get this backwards, and leaders are guilty of this. I've been guilty of this. We start thinking, well, if I had the right people, if I had enough resources, when my product is tweaked and it's just right, when this process is in place, then I'll be ready. Then I can act. And I just want to tell you from my own experience, if you think that way, you can stay stuck in neutral, stuck in inaction for a really, really long time. Because in reality, it's the action that creates the attraction you need to get all those things to come to you. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but this is a law of leadership. You don't attract and then act. You act and then attract. You cannot wait until you have everything you think you need to move forward. You have to take action, and that will create the attraction that brings everything you need. I've seen this over and over and over again. I've launched projects without all the money to pay for them. I've built programs without a leader to run them. I've created services without a way to deliver them. And every single time what I found is that when I was willing to act, somehow I attracted what I needed to keep moving forward. Action creates traction. Action creates attraction. And number 3, action creates achievement. Action creates achievement. Action is the basis for all success in all areas of life, period. You will not succeed if you do not act. Nobody builds anything by sitting around and just taking whatever life brings them. If you're simply waiting on what life brings to you, you're living your life, but you are not leading your life. And as leaders, we don't just live our lives, we lead our lives. We don't wait for what life gives us, we go get it. We all remember what life was like back in 2020 during the COVID shutdowns, a really, really challenging time for people who were in leadership roles. Because if you just waited for what life was going to bring you, you could wait a long time before you'd be able to move anything forward in your organization. I was leading a large church at the time, and government restrictions had severely limited how many people could gather in one place and one time. And if I had just waited for that to change, I don't know, I think it would have been, well over a year before we could have resumed meeting the way that we normally did. And I wasn't going to wait for that. I knew from a leadership perspective, if I'm going to achieve anything, I have to take action. I can't wait for life to come to me. I've got to go to it, right? So instead, we took the bull by the horns and opened up 4 pop-up campuses all over the city so that our people could still gather and we could kind of sort of avoid too much government scrutiny. And launching 4 locations on one day with only a few weeks to get ready, that was an achievement. I think I'm safely past the statute of limitations now, so I can say this. We were well over capacity in every venue on that day, a smashing success by all accounts. But it's only because we took action that we could accomplish that. Action creates achievement. Okay, here's what we have to understand. Life rewards people who act. It always has, it always will. The old saying is that luck favors the bold, and it's funny how bold people always seem to get lucky, right? Funny how people who take action are always the ones who achieve something. Action is the basis for all success and for all achievement in life. Leaders, listen to me. It's only when you act that you can make an impact. Yes, you need to think and plan and prepare and even pray if you're a person of faith. All that's good. But when all that's done, there's only one thing left, and honestly, it's the only thing that really makes any difference at all, and that is that leaders have to act. Leaders have to develop a bias away from apathy and toward action. Good intentions are overrated and good actions are underrated. So stop planning and start doing. Stop talking and start moving. Stop getting ready and start taking action. Action creates traction. Action creates attraction, and action creates achievement. So, whatever you do, start taking action. Hey, if this helped you, maybe lit a fire under you, maybe stung you a little bit because you know you need to do it, you know you need to start taking action more, would you drop a comment and let me know? And if this helped you, help another leader by passing it on to them. Just hit the share button and send it to them. I'd love it if they got, kind of joined our community, became a part of what we're doing. As always, you can find me at themattware.com and at themattware on all the social channels. Until next time, go lead better and live bolder.